what the president has said both publicly and privately is that he will have an important responsibility in the summer and fall, once the nomination process has concluded, in bringing the party together.
And we welcome back to the Hardline. I'm John Bachman, sitting in for Ed Berliner. That's White House Press Secretary Josh Earnest there, responding to a question about President Obama seeming to endorse Hillary Clinton during a private fundraiser in Texas earlier this week, all while Bernie Sanders says he is not out of it quite yet. Also, GOP contenders John Kasich, Ted Cruz, they're still in the fight to gain some ground on Donald Trump. Time now for the political animal. Let's welcome back Democratic strategist with Catamount Strategies, Christian Hanley. Also joining us, senior writer for the Federalist, Robert Tracinski. Gentlemen, thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
All right, so we heard some discussion about this yesterday at the press briefing, also the New York Times article. President Obama, I guess, hinting that Bernie Sanders' campaign is coming to an end and it's time to rally behind Hillary Clinton. Robert, you heard that non-denial there from Josh Earnest. Is it all but over for Bernie?
Well, I think it is. You know, the fascinating thing to me is that the size of the Bernie Sanders insurgency in the Democratic side is actually about as big as the Donald Trump insurgency on the Republican side, you know, about 35% roughly of the vote. But because of the difference in the rules and because the field is much less split on the Democratic side, there was a presumptive nominee that he's challenging rather than it being split among a bunch of different people. Because of that, Bernie Sanders really isn't going anywhere with 35%. It's not enough to get his candidacy off the ground.
Well, Christian, let me ask you this, because Bernie Sanders is still out there. He's having pretty big rallies still, right. Big crowds. Why do you think he's still in this?
Well, I think there's a few reasons.
I think
that one's for Christian.
I think
Robert.
This is a genuine attempt to win the nomination. He's not just a protest candidate, and he's showing that. But it's also clear that Hillary Clinton had a huge lead in the South, but at the end of the day, the South is now over. So we're now moving north and west, and Bernie Sanders is confident that he can win in those states. Now, if it were not for the superdelegates, which we're talking about here, the difference in rules between the two different parties, the Clinton lead would be a lot smaller. She really has the huge lead that she does in the delegate count because of superdelegates.
But the rules are the rules, as we discussed earlier during the same thing with Republicans. There's not really a clear path forward. What do you think he hopes to gain? Let's say if he doesn't win, what's the consolation prize?
Well, I'm not sure there is a consolation prize, to be quite frank. I can't see Hillary Clinton choosing Bernie Sanders as a VP pick. On the other hand, I think that, truthfully, what he is hoping for is that some of those superdelegates, as the tide turns in his favor, as he would like it to, decide to change their support towards Bernie Sanders as the popular vote changes. But again, I think that's his hope, not necessarily what will happen.
All right, so we'll see Bernie Sanders during the Democratic National Convention up there, probably endorsing Hillary Clinton. I'm looking forward. That might be a little awkward, but we'll see what happens there. I want to go back to Robert's article. He's talking about the Never Hillary movement, why there isn't one. But let's talk about the Never Trump movement. You know, there are a lot of folks out there who are against Trump, Robert, but they are not backing another candidate. We did see Lindsey Graham come out, Nikki Haley, the governor of South Carolina, she's getting on board with Ted Cruz. But why aren't more of these folks who are so against Donald Trump coming out and endorsing a candidate?
Well, I think we should check the thermometer readings in Hades, because we have Lindsey Graham endorsing Ted Cruz. But it really is, it doesn't make sense to me. It really is the only logical thing to do. You know, Kasich isn't going to stop Trump. The real speculation is Kasich's really looking to be Trump's VP. So, you know, his delegates could all just go to Trump in the end anyway. He's not going to have enough to make that big a difference. The fact is, I think there's always these bruising wounds left in the primaries where you've been viciously attacking each other, and then you have to turn on a dime to endorse, you know, the guy you were just viciously attacking a few minutes ago. This goes back, though, to one of the big reasons why Trump has been doing as well as he has, though, is because you've had such a bitterly divided GOP field where they have been going hammer and tongs at each other instead of fighting off the Trump insurgency, so to speak. Instead of fighting off that sort of new wing of the party that's been trying to take over, they're all going at each other, where, you know, Rubio and Cruz, there's not that big a difference, actually, in terms of policy, in terms of the principles that they stand for, in terms of the way they were campaigning. There's not that big a difference between them. But I think this goes back to the problem we've had this year of the different wings of the party, even ones that have relatively small differences, being so bitterly divided against one another and not being able to look past the bruises and insults of the primary.
Yeah, well, Christian, as you look at this, isn't this kind of like the quintessential Republican problem they always have? They're always against something. They never really seem to be for something.
I'm not sure that's exactly true. I mean, I think that there's plenty of good reasons why Republicans are scared of a Trump nomination. It's a frightening prospect for many of us, Republican or otherwise.
It's okay. Let me clarify, because it's okay to be against something, but you got to hold up something as an alternative. You know, for so long they've been against Obamacare, and they haven't been able to rally around an alternative to Obamacare. This seems to be a similar situation. They don't like Donald Trump, but they can't rally behind one clear alternative.
Well, and I think in this case, in the nomination, there really isn't a clear alternative to choose from. I mean, the problem is you have one candidate who's out in front, who's loud, boisterous, and frankly vulgar, and then the rest who are all uninspiring. I mean, they're different in their own ways, but I can't see one who stands out after Trump.
All right, so we got the primaries coming up next Tuesday, Utah, Arizona. They will be crucial in narrowing this down. Any predictions, gentlemen? We got about 30 seconds left. Any surprises out there? First to you, Robert.
I think we're going to actually see a pretty big move towards Cruz, because I think a lot of people are going to realize this is the only alternative. I'm done making predictions this cycle, though, because I've been wrong every single time.
All right, Christian, last word to you, 20 seconds.
I have to agree. Predictions at this point, I think, are mostly out the window. I think as we move towards the Southwest, there could be a shift toward Cruz, but I'm hesitant to nail anything down right now.
All right, gentlemen, thanks so much. Christian Hanley and Robert Tracinski. When we come back, BMW turns 100 years old in self-driving cars. Wow, a lot going on. A preview of the New York Auto Show with Lauren Fix after this.